Hello everyone, welcome to Knowledge India once again. We are in the next episode of interview with Cloud Professional series. Today we have with us Akila, who is joining us from New Delhi, and we are going to talk to her and understand about her journey to the cloud. Hello Akila, welcome.
Hello, hi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about your career. That maybe you can introduce yourself to us. That what did you
Mhm.
do? How did you start your career? And what are you doing currently?
So I've got about 8 years of experience in IT, and I started off in technical support as a control and it's a control and is a workload automation and scheduling tool. I started off with that,
Hmm.
and I went into some amount of scheduling and administration of that tool, and this was for 4 years, and then I moved on to Linux administration
Hmm.
wherein it was about 2 years into Linux administration and then finally into cloud.
Hmm.
Finally, I did my certification, AWS certification, and got into cloud. So I'm
Hmm.
working with SOTI as of now for the past 9 months,
Hmm.
and things have been going so good so far.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, is it that you started on, I mean, started in the cloud technologies in your current organization, or from your previous organization itself you started working?
I started with on cloud with my previous organization itself, somewhere in the middle,
Hmm.
and then completely in my current organization.
Okay. Okay. So then, I mean, as you said that, uh, of course, you started with, uh, with a different type of role, and then you got into administration, and then did this. So maybe if you can tell us that, when was the first time when you heard about cloud computing? Did it really interest you, and that's why you thought of learning it, or is it that just your boss wanted you to learn or asked you to learn, so you started working on it? I mean, how did you get started, and then what was the first thing when you, or when was the first time when you really got a chance to work on it?
I heard about cloud right at the beginning of my career itself, like
Mhm.
8 years ago. But then there was not so much opportunity around me, and
Mhm.
I did not have that kind of knowledge at that point of time to, change my track and get into cloud. So, but there was some amount of system administration in my job, and that is when I moved into Linux.
Mhm.
And from Linux, when I started into Linux, I knew that I don't want that to be a full time role of mine.
Mhm.
So cloud was always there in my mind at the corner of my head all the time. So I
Mhm.
just wanted, okay, I'll move into cloud. So I started learning things by myself,
Mhm.
then got a chance. But again, that chance was limited to some extent. But in my current role, it has given me the opportunity to work on it, on a full scale, like
Okay.
into all of it. Yeah,
Mm. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. There are many people who, I mean, I'm looking at your example and I'm trying to relate it to a lot of queries which I get. So a lot of people are there in the administration area and they want to switch or move to cloud. So uh, maybe, one of the things which I would like to understand is the knowledge which you had on the Linux administration. How do you think that that knowledge or a skill set, did it help you while you were learning cloud, or or when you got started on cloud? Did those things also help you?
Yeah, when I was into technical support in the beginning, I was just limited to that particular domain of work.
Hmm.
I did not know. I mean, I had no idea like what what network was, what database was. I had simply no idea at that point of time. But
Hmm.
then I moved on to Linux. It's this just not about OS. You had to learn about the other things as well. It gave me some idea of the other parts of the infrastructure.
Hmm.
So that's when I got introduced to certain other things of the infrastructure, and getting into cloud helped me So yeah, getting into cloud, I was not much alien to those terminologies when I got
Hmm.
into cloud.
Hmm.
So it helped me. Yeah.
So yeah, I think like when we get started on let's say learning AWS, a big part which we
Mm.
do in the start is everyone learns EC2, and then
Yeah.
there are certain aspects which are just AWS side or which are just AWS focused. But then at the end, if you
Mm.
want to do something at your instance, you do need to know the OS administration, right? And I think
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
administrators who are watching this video, I think to them this is surely gonna help. If you have a good administration knowledge, whether it is Linux or Windows, I
Hmm.
think it helps. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
So,
Definitely
so
it helped.
what all certification do you have currently in place? I mean, what all certifications have you done?
I'm a Red Hat certified system administrator
Hmm.
and an AWS certified solution architect
Okay,
associate. Yeah.
good, good. So I suppose you did the Red Hat one first beforehand itself, right?
Yes.
And then you
Yes.
did the
Red Hat.
AWS one. Okay,
Correct. Yeah.
okay. Good. So what are different AWS services which you are working on currently in your current role and organization? What are the
Mhm.
AWS services which with which you deal on day-to-day basis?
On the normal infrastructure part, it is all EC2, VPC, S3, RDS,
Mm-hmm.
Cloud Front Route 53.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say extra things, I've used Lambda Touch,
Mm-hmm.
I've used WAF,
Wow. Hmm.
and I'm looking on to work on DynamoDB as well. That's like a next POC for me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So those are quite good things. WAF, Lambda attach.
Pretty
Good.
much, yeah. The entire infra, yeah, most of the infra things I've worked on. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So in your current role, uh, do you work on any automation? And if you do so, uh, what scripting do you use, or how do you do that?
I've tried few basic automations, but again, those were the AWS provided solutions for
Mm-hmm.
them. Uh, Apart from the normal EC2 store for
Mm-hmm.
the cost optimization purpose, I have also used a solution given by AWS for an automated snapshot copy
Mm-hmm.
and a disaster recovery.
Hmm.
So the first, it was an AWS provided solution, so I wanted to customize it according to my infrastructure. So I've done that,
Mm-hmm.
and it is working fine for now. So we're looking into more into improvising that solution. So we are using, like we are looking forward to use data migration service, which is
Hmm.
like somewhere in progress, close to completion as of
Oh,
now. Yeah,
yeah. Data migration service is actually quite powerful service, I would say. And
yeah, yes, powerful, but it's expensive as well.
is it? Okay.
Migration and replication. What our requirement was to have an active migration as well as replication of data in the primary region to the secondary region.
Hmm.
So it's fulfilling that way, but yeah, it's quite kind of costly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. And which database are you guys targeting there?
I am using MS SQL database.
Oh, okay.
MS
See.
SQL has its own restriction to so many things.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So let's try to understand that. I'm sure you would be dealing with a lot of different type of people with different skill set in your job. And um, what do you think that I mean in current scenario, there are a lot of people who claim to understand cloud and are probably working in the cloud area as well, but many of the times we see there is a lack of knowledge and things like that. So,
Mhm.
any experience which you would like to share, or anything around this, where you actually figured out that understanding is not there, or anything like that about cloud?
Yeah, it happens most of the time. Like in our office,
Hmm.
initially there was no cloud team as such. It was the developers themselves doing things. And if I go into the infrastructure, you'll see that they've just modified the default security groups. They've not
Mm,
created anything. We are doing things in the default VPC. There is no isolation, no separation, nothing secure as such. That
mhm,
was one thing. And yeah, and they're managing to do it that way. And uh, other things as well, like we have auto scaling. It's difficult for them to understand what is auto scaling. I mean, I personally had a big struggle making them understand. See, auto scaling is this kind of a concept. There was
mm.
some issue in the application, and they were like, "No, it's because of auto scaling." Dude,
Okay.
it's not an auto scaling issue. It's an issue because issue in a code, but
Mm.
no, they were new to the term. No, it was working fine this way. No, now you have introduced auto scaling, so it's not working.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I have also seen this type of thing where people people start thinking that because we are putting it on cloud, there is some other new type of defect which gets introduced on cloud,
Yeah.
which is not entirely
This is an
true.
issue with it's working on the local, the issue is in the cloud. What's
Yeah.
working on the local, the issue
And
is in the cloud.
I think looking at most of such problems, what I have seen is that most of the times it would be because of the network type of changes. So people are not clear on the network side.
This channel teaches you AWS and Azure in really easy and practical manner. There are a lot of demonstration videos already on the channel. As you can see, a lot of professionals got benefited from our videos and you can read about them here. So if you are new, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon.
So Akla, next thing which I wanted to ask you is, so like what challenges did you face when you started learning cloud, right? I mean, you were doing something, then you thought, okay, let's learn this, you're interested. So what challenges did you face at that time? And then probably tell us that what did you do, what approach did you take to overcome that?
Okay, so I was a system administrator. For me, like all these things, network, storage, everything was one-liners at that point of time. I
Mm-hmm.
knew like this is doing this, and I not have much insight on all of those terminal. I was introduced to them, but I was having not much knowledge in great detail for that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started learning cloud, initially I found VPC as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It was somewhere getting difficult for me to understand. Maybe the video which I was following or the things which I started with books initially.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt really complex at that point of time when I started studying VPC because that is one thing which gets introduced you towards into the cloud,
Mm-hmm.
and VPC was getting difficult. So I was doing a lot of research on the internet, on YouTube, everywhere. And finally, I found your video. Thanks to you for that. I found your video, and trust me, it really helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my teammate, we were doing we were studying together, and we found that video very useful. I still, if I refer that video to others who are also stuck in BPC concept.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was one initial challenge. Then yeah, that was the first point. But then later on, we started, okay, we knew okay how to find this. There was a certain roadmap there already. In case if you are having any issues, you know where to go. Kind of things happened later on when you started getting more into it. A lot part of the learning came from the practical stuff we did. I mean, I personally think that doing practicals is really important because when you follow a certain set of instructions, you're doing it. You there are less chances to encounter errors when you have a written set of instructions. When you start doing it without any instructions, you figure out different options. You get into issues, then you learn how to resolve those issues, and you get the things are clear in a better way.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Actually,
was
that's very
my point
important.
when I started. Yeah, it's actually important. It's actually important when you start. It's not like you follow a particular book and a set of instructions. You need to get into. You need to be very much familiar with the entire console or CLI, whatever you're using. To that's when you actually get into issues, run into issues, and then you resolve it and you will never forget those things
Mm,
in life.
mm,
But
mm.
when you follow a certain set of instructions, you need to review it every time.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's very, very important point which you said. And I get a lot of doubts in the form of comments or sometimes even as email, where people just ask that uh, whether it would work this way also or not. Those type of questions I get a lot, and that clearly shows that people have not tried to do it
Practical.
on their own, right? They did not try their hands on that particular thing. So it's very important that while we read and we watch any video,
Mm.
we should also go ahead and
Mm.
try to do it, right? Now, the
Yeah.
other thing which people are normally scared is that if I go ahead and try to do it in the
Cost.
console, yeah, the cost factor, right? You guessed it. So maybe in your initial days, how did you manage? Did you end up paying bill anytime, or you were good all the time and you did not pay anything? How was
No,
it?
I was never good. I have ended up paying bills because of my own mistakes. I've done that. I did set up an alarm. When I started initially, I set up a $5 alarm when my cost is $5.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm so generous to pay $5 in my initial days,
Hmm.
and until and unless the bill is $5, I won't even get an alarm.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my initial thing. But later on, when I started getting learning more into it, I took care of using the resources judiciously. Otherwise, yeah, I've left load balancers running. I've done these things. It has
Uh,
happened. I mean, it's
yeah.
okay. It's a part of your learning. So I'm not invested anywhere other,
Hmm.
like outside for cloud. So it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes
When
it
yeah, it
happens. Yeah.
happens like NAT gateway and load
NAT gates,
balancers.
okay.
People think that if
Elastic
we just
IPs,
yeah, elastic IPs, all of these things. So I think
AMIs,
yeah,
AMIs.
AMI is because they take storage related costs. So
Yeah,
I think
true.
it's very important for all of us to try and go through that. Maybe one time you will do the mistake, but after that you will
Yeah, careful. You're careful.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. I mean, I'm okay because I'm not invested anywhere other. I've just done a personal investment. That's it.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. On one hand, you are dealing with many AWS services which you talked about. Are
Mm.
there any other skill set which you use on day-to-day basis apart from the typical AWS services in your job?
I have used Linux administration skills do come into use every day,
Hmm.
and obviously Windows as well. There are a lot of Windows things also in my environment. So Windows administration is something which I picked up recently, and
Hmm.
Linux, yes, I was already having that experience. So on the system administration part, yes, it helps me. And apart from that, our environment is, we are into a lot of automations in the coming days. So I'm learning few of the DevOps skills, so that's
Hmm.
going to help me in there. It's all about DevOps these days. So I think I am learning DevOps skills,
Hmm.
which would be useful in the coming days.
Yeah. So actually, yes, because see, hosting on cloud is one aspect, and yes, it is really great that we can do infrastructure as code on cloud. So we can go
Yeah,
ahead and create the infrastructure just by our code, and
yeah.
maybe that was not that much possible in the on-prem area. But when
Mhm.
it comes to deploying the application and putting the new version of your application, bringing the changes for all of those things, the typical DevOps tools they continue to be useful. Doesn't matter in which cloud we are, right? Whether we
Yeah,
do
yes.
AWS or Azure. Yeah. So good
Yeah.
that you are picking up on the DevOps and the Windows admin thing as well. So maybe one of the last question which I would like to ask is, what's your thought on the multi-cloud adoption? Are you seeing, based on your work, do you see customers going more towards multi-cloud approach?
I do see that multi-cloud is being adopted in a lot of organizations these days. Even in our organization, we are also moving some of the infrastructure onto Azure.
Hmm.
So that's again in the testing phase as of now. So we are moving. So it's more important to have I mean, it is really important to have knowledge on all the cloud platforms and on tools that support all the three cloud platforms. Like Terraform, you can use it.
Hmm.
You can write the code once and use it on any cloud. So
Yep.
it's yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Right. So actually, there are many such type of things which are now picking up a lot in the market. Where, as you said,
mm,
you write in one place, and then with a small amount of tweaking, it just runs on any of the cloud.
on
Terraform is a
any,
very good example.
yeah,
I have seen people using configuration management tools like Chef, Puppet, Ansible,
yeah,
to
mm,
manage the
yeah,
state of their machines. Doesn't matter
mm,
which cloud they are hosted it
yeah.
on. Okay. Hmm.
Because there is an issue with there are certain services that are restricted to Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So the customers are not much. They don't want to restrict themselves to
Hmm.
Amazon. That's one of the issues they say, and
Right.
that's when this multi-cloud approach has come in.
Yes. Yes. That is right. In terms of tool set, though I was looking at this some time back. Um, so AWS Systems Manager as such, it allows us to manage machines which are there on AWS, and we can also go ahead and install System Center client
Uh,
on the
yeah.
machines which are not on AWS, and we can go ahead and
Yes,
manage,
yes. I
right?
just explored that feature yesterday. I've
Oh,
not
okay.
get to work on that a lot. So
Hmm,
I've used that. I mean, I've used system manager on the older version. I think the new feature has been launched recently
hmm,
that it supports on-prem as well,
hmm.
right?
Yes,
It's
I mean,
yeah.
sometime back it was launched. So it is because it is this client-based thing. So you can go ahead and install the client on any machine. Now that machine
On
could be on-prem, that machine could be even
yeah.
on Azure for that matter, and you can go ahead and manage. Now the
Yeah.
the good thing would be, and I would try to do a video on this. A good thing would be that how does it compare with other available tools? How much would it cost if we
Mm,
are gonna manage, let's say, 10,000 fleet 10,000
mm,
instances fleet via systems manager and
mm,
via other offering. Azure also has a similar
mm,
offering, and uh,
mm,
and let's say if you want to do it with Ansible paid version or anything else, how much would it cost? I'm thinking to
mm.
do a video on that. We'll bring it. So that was
Yeah,
really
I did
nice. Huh?
suggest
Sorry,
you.
sorry.
Yeah, I was about to suggest. I mean, I wanted a video on systems manager. That was
Yeah. Okay. So systems manager, I did one video, but that was long back. Somehow could not do further on that. But that, what I've seen is that in the last 1 year, Amazon has invested so much on this. Systems Manager has grown like anything with so many features, and I think it really
yeah,
requires that we should do a video. So I take that suggestion and we'll make sure that we'll bring videos on that because there's so much in this. Earlier,
yeah.
Systems Manager console used to be part of EC2, and now they have even
Yes.
taken it out of EC2 and it is a different separate one altogether. So Akla, any other suggestion or anything which you would like to give to our viewers?
Anybody who's interested moving on to cloud, the first thing is get started onto it. Go create an account, do figure out things.
Hmm,
Maybe go through some introductory videos that would make you familiar with the cloud terms, and then literally I would say just get onto it, start figuring out things, click things, figure it out what it is, do mistakes, and then you'll learn. and
hmm.
and I personally feel that because I've done things that way and I believe it works.
Yeah, I mean, actually it is that simple. But as you said, but then many of the times people kind of get scared or people do not try to explore. That's what I've seen. Uh, I do
Yeah,
get a lot of questions which are so straight that if you go ahead and Google it, you will easily get it in the
you'll get
AWS documentation, right? Many of the times
yeah,
it is written clearly, but I've not seen people uh, googling that or finding it out. Rather, maybe ask it somebody. I mean, it's fine. I do try to answer a lot of comments, but it's not possible to answer everything at times. but
Yeah,
but I think
it's
that is one. I
sufficient.
mean, how has your experience been with AWS documentation? Did you follow AWS documentation? Did you refer it?
I do follow AWS documentation.
Hmm.
I I I do Google a lot.
Okay.
Whenever I'm stuck, my first thing is Google.
Hmm.
And mostly it's the AWS documentation that gives us the solution.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's best, so you will look forward to some precise solution.
Hmm.
Yes, it is a lot of documentation is really good,
Hmm.
really vast. If you really want to study in details, everything is there. You can go through the documentation. That is sufficient, I would say.
Right. Right. Okay. Good. Good. Thanks for giving your time, Akla. I think that was really helpful. I'm sure many of the people who are on the administrator path currently and are looking forward to move to AWS would get to learn something from
Yeah,
this session. Thanks for your
yeah.
time.